Hello, Star Lovelies. It's a great time to be a soul. Today we're talking about 2025 is fiery AF. Here we are in the new era, and over the last few years, we've been finding our footing. Things have been unfamiliar, they've been uncomfortable. It's felt like we, haven't really know where to place our footing. And 2024 really pushed us to the edge. And it was all about filling ourselves at the core and making sure that we were galvanized, strengthened, satisfied, fulfilled, really aligned with our own energy and our own desires. And yet it wasn't just handed on a silver platter, right? It was all about pushing us to the edge so that we can realize that we were maybe hollowed out, or we were overextended and stretching beyond our abilities, or we were not happy because we were aligned with someone else's vision or expectations that we thought we should fulfill. So as I'm recording this, we're ending 2024, and there's opportunity to find our footing, to really use this edginess that's continuing before we get into the layers of complexity that are being added for 2025. So we start off with this, wait, I don't really know how things are working. They're frustrating. It feels smoldering. And yet, what is 2025 presenting for us? It's three parts. It's three things. We want to give way to the layers of alignment, to freedom, and to reclamation. The energies at the beginning of the year are to help us align with our soul mission, to really be true to ourselves. Everybody receives a massive wake-up call. There's a huge shakeup at the end of March. That's where the fire comes in. That's where the jolt comes in. And then there's the ability to break through to you because there's truth revealed. And when you're aligned with that truth and when you're accepting of it, you gain so many parts of yourself that you've lost, that you get to be fully you in ways that you haven't in years or maybe even longer. So there's massive opportunity in 2025, but it is going to be disruptive. It is jarring because we're shaking up at the soul level. It's time for your truth and power. We get this huge disruption in the second quarter. And then just when we feel like, okay, well, maybe we'll be able to handle it. When Q3 and Q4 start, it's almost as like we hit on the luge. We are like, it's like a rocket ship. We take off and things are moving so incredibly quickly. So there's two halves to the energy in 2025. The first half of 2025 feels like a slog. It feels like it's just too heavy and you just can't get through it. And then it's almost like there's a firestorm and you're looking around and everything's like kind of burning around you and you're like, "Oh my God, what am I supposed to do with all this?" And then just when you're trying to figure that out, it's like the energies go whoosh and you get just literally launched on a rocket ship. For a lot of people, they're not going to be able to find their footing in 2025. If you're listening to this, I don't want it to be you. I would love for you to be able to know so we can gain that clarity and certainty in our minds so that we can anticipate what's coming and prepare for it. And then to open our hearts to say, okay, there's going to be truth that's going to be revealed. There's going to be things about me personally that I'm not going to really love. Okay, let me be flexible about that. Let me see what the gift is in that. Let me see how I can make that into an opportunity. And things are going to feel really super risky, but the rewards are tremendous in the second half of the year. We don't want you to be slogging through the mud and then, there's no forward momentum. It feels heavy and stuck, and that can lead to confusion or it can lead to revelation. It depends on how we use those energies at the top of the year. And then again, when we get to that second quarter, there's this huge forward motion that's fiery. It's like the floor has been knocked out from underneath us. And then, okay, find your footing without any floor. And then the pace of the second half of the year is mind-blowing. And so we want to make sure that you don't drop into confusion, doubt, fear. We want to make sure that you are able to wear this energy, to be able to use it for your betterment, be able to really find your own truth, your own power, your own magic. This is where that freedom comes in. So let's dive more into the timing and the stars, because the stars are conspiring for your success. So let's look at how things are lining up. First and foremost, Neptune is front and center this year versus the last 2 years, Pluto has been front and center. So Neptune feels better. Neptune is lighter, softer, is watery. There's more possibility and opportunity. Where Pluto has been like being like there's like an excavation that's been happening over the last 2 years that hasn't felt comfortable at all, hasn't felt familiar. It's been really kind of scary, and it's been destabilizing. Neptune's not like that. Neptune comes in, and Neptune's almost like a friend and says, hey, you know what? I'm here to hang with you. You can take your time, no big deal. We'll just chill. Let's go get a snack. Let's go watch Netflix. Let's go just hang out. Let's just ignore all the crap that's going on out there. And let's just do some feel good things, right? That's what's been happening for the last 14 years. Well, that timing is going to stop as of the end of March. Neptune is entering Aries on March 30th, and that's where this is a huge wake-up call, because all of a sudden that chill, that like our best friend coming over and just making us feel good, and those rose-colored glasses, like, oh, it's not my problem. I can kick that down the road, or someone else will take care of it. All of a sudden that's gone. This is where this is very disrupting. And so when those rose-colored glasses come off, you're going to look around and say, oh, crap, this is where I am. Or you're going to look around and say, oh, thank goodness I'm in the right place. And so we have between now and March 30th to get our crap together. And so this is why from December, it's actually November 25th, 2024, until the middle of April 2025, it is going to feel like a slog, even though we have that massive wake-up call at the end of March. The personal planets, that's Mercury, that's Mars, that's Venus. They're the ones that show us personally. Of course, they affect the world, but they affect us first. Whereas the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto affect the world first, and then we come to how they affect us. And Jupiter is the bridge in between. And the sun and the moon are the luminaries that enable us to see how we're showing up, in the day and out in the outer world, that's the sun, or how we're actually nurturing and supporting ourselves, in that inner life at midnight when no one's looking, that's the moon. So that's the way the planets work with us. And I will tell you that the personal planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, have this layering. They overlay each other from the end of November to the middle of April to drive us crazy. Quite frankly, it is going to be maddening. And it's going to be maddening because it's going to be like fits and starts. And so first Mercury comes in and he just adds like tons of confusion in how you're looking at things, what your philosophy of life is, how you show up, what your style is, your image is, because he's always like that. Travel is always an issue, but it's more than that, just due to the timing of where we are in an election cycle in the US and where the wars are in the world. It is going to be incredibly fraught with confusion, doubt, and tension. Just pushing that edginess of 2024 is going to be very, very evident. We're going to feel on edge. Then Mars comes along, and Mars is super fiery at this point, and he's just like this big fat volcano, just, feeling aggressive and feeling ambitious. And then he goes and turns himself around. This is what a retrograde appears to be at the beginning of December, and he stays in this pulled back position until February 23rd, 2025. So he pulls all forward momentum back. So we feel, instead of taking 2 steps forward and maybe 1 step back, which might be that normal rhythm and cadence, or maybe people are just running forward and it feels really good. He's like, nope, absolutely not. We're not doing that right now. We are pulling everything back. And he's in Leo when he does that all through December until January 6th. And then he goes back into Cancer, where he hates it and he feels very victimized and he feels pouty. And so it's going to be like temper tantrums and feeling like a victim at the worst case. Then right when we get the relief from Mars turning direct, he's still in Cancer. He's not happy at that end of February. And he's in Cancer for, another month and a half. And then Venus comes along. And she's an Aries, and that makes her super brave and super sassy and super ambitious. But remember, Mars and Mercury have held her back, so she's now aggravated and she wants to just like spit nails. And then she goes ahead and she goes retrograde on March 1st. And then she adds the benefit of not being able to get any external validation. And so we've got this confusion launched with Mercury. Then we've got this lack of forward momentum. So frustration, pressure cooker with Mars. And then we add Venus, like I can't quite figure out how I see myself because I'm used to getting input from other people. Now all of a sudden that's been a vacuum until the middle of April. And then guess what? Mercury becomes retrograde again. So we actually have this smoldering, smothering, aggravating, frustrating energy through the beginning of May. And so, okay, that's 6 months of pure hell. But what is the lessons? I preface this by saying the stars have our best interests at heart. They conspire for our success. So what is the great thing about this? Let's dive in a little bit deeper. On the Mars, there's no action, so there's lots of pressure. Venus, there's no validation, so there's lots of doubt. Mercury, there's no connection, so there's lots of confusion. That doesn't feel great. But yet, in the absence of things, we get to really look at ourselves. This is where my know, like, trust method comes in because it's like, how do I know myself? Let me really look and dive into my intuition, dive into my inner knowing, listen to my inner voice. Then how do I like myself? How do I connect with myself and connect with my own power and connect with my own desires and my satisfaction and fulfillment, regardless of what's going on outside of me? And then how do I trust? How do I know without a doubt at all? How do I believe? How do I have faith that I am in the right place, doing the right things in the right way? How do I rely on my soul? This is all about aligning with our soul. It's about clearing our mind, opening our heart, and activating our will based on our own heart's desires and our soul mission. So the stars are actually conspiring for us because when we look at that Mercury influence and we say, how do I listen to me instead of listening to all the noise around me? Imagine what a lift that would be. How do I really recognize my own value and have courage about being able to wear it without having anybody else have to validate me? It doesn't matter how many clicks I have. It doesn't matter how many comments I get. It doesn't matter, quite frankly, what the number is in my bank account. I am still as valuable whether I have $1 or $1,000,000, whether I have 2 people following me or 20,000 people following me. I am just as valuable. What a gift that is. What an amazing, amazing, like, self-revelation that would be. And then envisioning that even though I haven't taken that forward motion, I have been extraordinarily brave and I've been really bold about uncovering those parts of myself that I haven't wanted to look at. And I've used this time for reflection and for healing and for transformation so that I make sure that I'm in alignment with what's true for me. Those are the gifts that the personal planets are giving us. But just like, if we were to wish for patience, for example, and we say, I want to be more patient, and we set that intention and we have an affirmation for it, what does the universe respond with? The universe responds with really putting pressure on our patience. So making things that drive us crazy so that we learn patience, so that we build that muscle and we build that skill. And I'm just going to press further here and say, when we set intention to be abundant and wealthy and rich, what happens to us? There's typically an initial burst of it, and then it's like a wave that goes out, and there's the absence for it. And then it will come back only when we fully believe it, when we know without a doubt that we are abundant and prosperous and wealthy beyond measure because we are worth more than all the money in the world. And then the abundance then in the physical follows. So this is that same thing. So 2025 starts off with like basically taking all the energy that you usually rely on and takes it away. Great. And then gives us this massive wake up call at the end of March. And so we want to be ready to face the truth. Whatever truth is going to arise, guess what? Between now and March 30th, the planets are helping us realize what our truth is. Because whatever's happening externally is what's going on internally. We get to pick. It's almost like the wave going out at the ocean, and all of a sudden you see all the beautiful sparkly, little hermit crabs, and we see all the little shells, and we find it's like finding hidden treasure. So when we find that hidden treasure and then we take it out and we look at it, and again with a clear mind, an open heart, and an active will, then we are able to use this big revelation, this disruptive call that comes at the end of March for our own betterment. We get to use it and say, okay, what is the truth about me? What is the truth about my energy? What is the truth about what I truly desire? What is the truth about my heart, my soul, how I am in alignment or misalignment? Let me use this fiery energy to create what I want. Because there's going to be a huge creation energy in this, because with chaos comes creation. And so this is getting us ready. We have Neptune coming in. And then on May 24th, we have Saturn entering Aries. And that's where you can make your dreams real. But how does Saturn do it? He creates limits and constraints, and he wants you to choose and prioritize. And he does it, and he does bring some fear in there, because you're feeling that spaciousness with Neptune, and then all of a sudden Saturn comes in. It's like, yeah, you know what? But I'm going to create some hurdles here. I'm going to ask you how you really want it. Do you really want it? How much do you really want it? What are you willing to do? And what are you not willing to do? This energy is going to be in, a close configuration until we get to the top of February 2026. And so that is then going to hit a new cycle, but I won't talk about that here. Just knowing we need to get through the May timeframe in 2025 first. Once we do that, and we're starting to find our footing there, in June, we've got a lot of layering of things like Jupiter moves into Cancer, and then Jupiter is involved. So it does feel like there's this like breath that we can take. We can say, oh, okay. All right, I get it now. Like, okay, it kind of makes sense. I know what to do with this. And then Uranus at the beginning of July, it's actually July 7th, moves into Gemini. Uranus is a shock and awe, lightning bolt, chaos creating energy. And so whenever he moves from one side to another, there's a big jolt. The last time he did this was 2018 when he moved into Taurus. The time before that was when he moved into Aries. And that was 2011. In fact, that was the same date as the tsunami in Japan. So that was Aries, though, with Uranus. That's not this energy. Uranus is moving into Gemini. So it's a much different energy. However, we have that Aryan energy with Neptune and with Saturn. So things are already, the foundation has been laid, and there's literally like a fire going across right in front of you. You can use either fire to create or fire to destroy, or both. And this is where, if you've really taken advantage of the last few years of understanding that it's the new era, and I now know how to wear my energies. I know my masculine strength is at the core. I know my feminine energies are at the edges. I know how to really anchor myself and be unwavering and understand, my roots and what's really important to me. I have my priorities set. I have my core values, and I'm following them, and I'm living them. And then when I reach for opportunities and when I collaborate and I'm looking to make impact or influence, I let that be more fluid, because at the core, I'm really galvanized. I'm buckled in. So I can stretch a little bit more, versus when you're not buckled in, that's where you get overextended. That's where you get distracted. That's where you move beyond the comfort zone. And so let's use this time, between that November and April or May timeframe, and really get that core filled, really understand who you are, really wear it and own it, really understand what you're willing to do and not willing to do to bring them out into the world. Because then when we hit that beginning of July, like I said, it's like a rocket ship. All the things, it's going to be massively innovative, opportunity creating. There's going to be inventions. There's going to be adventures. There's going to be idealism. There's going to be the things that, the meaning of life and the full understanding of it. The epiphanies are going to abound. This has lined up with like the Age of Enlightenment or the Scientific Revolution or the Industrial Revolution. I mean, this has brought massive, massive advances, whether they're technological or scientific or in the arts. There's huge opportunity here. Where do you want to be at the beginning of July when those opportunities present? That's the key question. And so the stars are allowing each one of us to get ready, because this is no joke, right? Like we could either be distracted and untethered and just floating around and like literally running to the left and doing this and oh my God, and I'm going to put this together. But no, wait, there's this over here. This sounds so good. I'm going to put this together. Oh, wait, over here. That's literally what it's going to look like if you're not grounded. Versus, guess what? These ideas are amazing. These corridors are opening for me. This is where my pathway is cleared. And this is exactly what I'm walking, because this is the time to know that you're going in the right direction, you're attracting the right people, and you're relying on the right resources. And I will let you know that as of this recording, we are right at the most magical time right now. It's a beautiful, gorgeous, piercing arrow of truth that's presented itself at the beginning of November. In fact, that new moon on November 1st, there's such power, there's such truth, there's such magic. I've done a really great ritual that you can access in my podcast, and we'll go ahead and put that in the show notes, because you don't want to miss out on that, because you could have some revelation as to about what's true for you and what's not true for you. Where do you want to, fine tune, optimize, streamline, winnow things down, because you don't want to be going into this with excess, because the excess just becomes distracting and confusing. So you want to go in this finely honed. So that's my first tip for you, is to go ahead, look at that new moon podcast. You can skip over the whys of it. I explain the stars and I explain why. If you're interested in that, you can listen, but you can go to the ritual. It's probably about 10 minutes, and you can do that and see what reveals to you. Take a pen, take a journal, take a glass of water, take some time with that and see what stirs. That's a gift for you. The second thing is, go ahead and take my quiz. It's at yourstarmaptosuccess.com, because this is where you'll find your energetic signature. It's going to help you determine whether you enter your day through your mind and your thoughts, through your heart and your connections, or through your will or your actions. And knowing that is really, really helpful to know how you either react to things or respond to them. If you're on that more mental side, your mind's going to run amok a little bit, and then hopefully you get some, clarification, and then you can take action on that. If you're with connections, you're going to seek validation from other people. You're going to ask them for their advice. You're going to be, taking care of them more than you're taking care of yourself. Or you're going to be able to really fulfill your own desires and be able to connect with yourself first, knowing what you fully want, and then being able to respond and to be able to drive, action that way. Or if you react in the action space, that means you're kind of like running around and doing things, right? When something's, destabilizing to you, or like, fills you with doubt or fear or something, you're like, oh, let me just go like attack that, right? And you're kind of running amok with like all the things that you're doing, and you're probably sweeping other people into it, and it's confusing, and you're missing things, and you're misrepresenting things, and that just creates chaos. So you'd rather be more committed to what action you want to take to be able to drive, whether it's change or forward progress or internal reflection. You want to be in the driver's seat on that. So this quiz gives you that look. And so you're going to become, familiar with one of 6 signatures. You're either a wise strategist or an intuitive visionary. That's where you enter the world through your mind, and you want to make sure you get clarity and certainty there, because that's your first instinct. Then, if you are a collaborative explorer, ruling warrior, your first instinct is that connection. So you're going to seek, what's happening outside of me versus what's happening inside of me. Or if you're a creative superstar, loving alchemist, that's where you take action or paralyzing inaction, and you're not really driving to where you want to be. So understanding those signatures are the first step. The second step, I'm going to literally walk through 2025 with you right now. And so for I'm going to run through Q1, Q2, and I've packaged Q3 and Q4 together. So for first quarter, that's from, quite frankly, right now, whenever you're listening to it, until the end of March. of 2025. And so if you're a wise strategist or an intuitive visionary, for the wise strategist, it's going to sow the seeds of fear and doubt. You are going to question your value. You're going to question how you're going to get results. You're going to question how you're going to reach your goals. For the intuitive visionary, it's going to be frustrating because you really know that you've spent all this last year getting things ready and you're ready. And so you don't want to wait because you're impatient. For each one of you, really be sensitive to when Mercury goes retrograde because that's more frustrating for you. And understand that during those times of the end of November to the middle of December, and from that, like in the April timeframe, you are going to be, jarred the most. Not going to be a picnic during those times, but that's going to be the bookends for you to be kind of like in each end of that, you can be like, super, super frustrated. Take a deep breath. For the wise strategist, have affirmations and mantras about your worth. Really take some time and write down your accomplishments. And you could even do it every single day. What if one thing I'm proud of myself on? For the intuitive visionary, you're going to stop. I did that on purpose. You're going to stop and you're going to gather your energy. Whether you do it by taking a walk, whether you do it by breath, whether you do it by, eating chocolate or almonds or blueberries, those are three really grounding foods. Whether you are going to take a drink of water, you are going to stop before you do anything. And then you're going to assess and you're going to run it through a filter of what is going to get me to the end result. Now, for the collaborative explorer and ruling warrior, collaborative explorer, you're going to be uberly helpful to others. You're going to be always looking at, well, they're not, as well off as I am, so I'm going to help them. And wow, it's really frustrating for everybody. I can't make forward motion anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to be there for other people. When Venus goes retrograde for you, that's the March timeframe. That's going to be where you're going to get most input back to how that's working for you because it's not. And then for the ruling warrior, you're going to hate every moment of this. You're going to be so frustrated with the lack of time. It's really the Mars retrograde that drives you bonkers. And so for you, it's going to be from December 6th until February 23rd that you're going to just be, I want forward motion. So for both of you, it's the time to connect with yourself. So for the ruling warrior, it would be great if you were to do something playful and fun, take a vacation, enjoy the holidays. For the collaborative explorer, put yourself first. I would love for you to be a little selfish right now. Now, for the creative superstar and the loving alchemist, there's two opposite reactions here or responses. The creative superstar is going to be swept up with overwhelm and it's going to be bad. It's just going to feel yucky and heavy and just yuck. Whereas the loving alchemist is going to take the opportunity to be reflective. So the loving alchemist, I'll move to you first. Try not to be too reflective, right? Because you have the opportunity to fall deeply into things and get in love with like your own magic, which is beautiful and really powerful. And yet you don't want to become so seeped in it that when we get to the second quarter of 2025, you're kind of so heavy and just like you're so immersed in your own self, you can't quite see the truth. That wouldn't be helpful. So for you to take moments and spend time with others in small, intimate gatherings, right? Have some fireside chats or poolside chats. Have some conversation. Form like a small group of either friends and people you trust or in the client sector. For you, creative superstar, this is for you to surround yourself with loved ones and really ask them for advice or feedback with those you can trust about how you're doing, about what would be really good for you to do. So having a great coach or a great mentor would be perfect for you right now. Now, Q2 for each, the wise strategist and the intuitive visionary, it's actually the opposite. So for the intuitive visionary, when that big disruption comes, you can kind of ride the wave. You can go with the flow. You have no issue with truth revelation. You're kind of fascinated by it. But for you to be sure-footed is the way you're going to want to get through that. Whereas with the wise strategist, it's going to be debilitating. You want to open your heart to your own truth because you're going to find out things that you don't want to know. Accept it. You're amazing. You're perfectly imperfect. And so that would be great for you. For the collaborative explorer and the ruling warrior actually doesn't mind this either, because the ruling warrior likes disruption, likes to be a paradigm shifter. If you position yourself as the one that understands it, you can actually gain some momentum for yourself from dare I say it, a sales perspective, as long as you're not transactional, because that's going to not be good for you for the second half of the year. So as long as you do this strategically, that would be great. For the collaborative explorer, this is a major jolt and a major wake-up call, because you're going to see how you haven't been serving yourself. So think of ways to do that. And you can use these next few months to prepare yourself for that, because for you to say yes to yourself in this moment puts you in the perfect position that you want to be in to lead others. Then the creative superstar and the loving alchemist. Loving alchemist, you're like, oh, good Lord, finally. People are getting it. So this is actually really great for you. Revelation of truth never scares you. You understand power. This is why I don't want you to be so heavy during the next few months, because I don't want you to miss this opportunity in Q2. Creative superstar, you're going to want to hide. But why don't you use Q2 as everybody else is kind of responding externally? Use it to really be creative. You will find massive creativities in this energies. And as long as you position yourself for that, it will be great. Now I'm going to combine the second half of the year. So Q3, Q4 for each one. So for the wise strategist and the intuitive visionary, it's the last part of the year for you wise strategists. You feel like you can't keep up with the pace. You feel like you're losing your footing. Everything's moving too fast. You don't adore this tempo. However, if you stay strong, you're actually the best person to be equipped with it, and you can use this to be able to help others realize what their inventions, their innovations. You can set the systems and the processes and all the things in place. So be operational during this time, and actually you'll get massive opportunity. Whereas the intuitive visionary, you're going to get so many ideas, and you always get so many ideas. So this is why you want to learn how to be grounded in the first half of the year, so you can take advantage of these energies, because you actually are aligned with this energy. Like, you are the best equipped, but you have the greatest risk of missing it if you're swept up in your own mind about all these great ideas and no one can keep up with you. So you want to take advantage of this, because there's huge reward when you are sure-footed, when you are grounded and centered, and when other people can see you and understand what you're saying and what your ideas are. Collaborative explorer, ruling warrior. The collaborative explorer, the second half of the year, actually puts you front and center. So when you own your own ideas and you lead, this is your time to shine. For the ruling warrior, I mentioned it before, you want to be strategic. This is an excellent time for you to be engaging, to look at that big picture, and in a cooperative manner, form relationships with people that are lasting, because you can make massive impact, because transactions get lost in the shuffle. And so somebody might say yes to you, but if it's transactional, they're going to forget they did that. And the next day, they're going to say yes to somebody else. But when you widen that picture and you widen your relationship with people, they remember and they remain loyal to you. For the creative superstar and the loving alchemist, the creative superstar, once again, this is overwhelming. But remember your own pace. If you've been following me for a while, I've been telling you to formulate your own calendar, to use your own cycles, to understand and appreciate how you want to show up and be with others. But then when you get like kind of crowd drunk, you want to come back and be alone and have that solitude. And so this is a massively creative time. And when you are true to yourself and your own rhythms, it is great. Loving alchemist, you can stand in the spotlight. You have the power that's needed. You can like literally shine and be the beacon for others, because you will be unwavering, and that's what people need right now. The last tip that I have for you is to get support. 2025 is not the year to go it alone. Now, if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I was saying this in 2018 and 2019 about 2020. I am saying this right now about 2025. And so when I say things, I mean them. So get support. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've spent too much money. You've invested in the wrong things. You haven't gotten the results that you've wanted. That's because in the last handful of years, we've been in this new era, and people have not known how to show up. They've not known how to actually give good advice, good guidance, good mentoring, to put you front and center, to understand and appreciate energies beyond themselves, to know how cosmic power works, or energetic power or your own, energetic signature and how you show up, that must be front and center. Because when you put your heart and soul and you put your intuition and your inner voice as the focal point of what direction you want to drive into, and you understand that you filled your core masculine energy, put that on the inside, and you're allowing that intuition to get breath and to be able to connect and to be able to attract, this is when you are going in the right direction, you're attracting the right people, and you're relying on the right resources. And that's when you are grounded and centered in you first. And so I do have an offering. I am doing a 3-hour workshop at the top of December that you can come to live. There's lots of bonuses involved. There's a bonus for like realizing your true purpose. There's a bonus of recognizing your wealth, of removing money blocks, and then the entire 2025 energy and stirring it for you in ways that are going to be much more than these initial steps and tips, because this is your year to break through. This is a massive, massive energy that's disruptive with a huge wake-up call that feels fiery, that's going to be chaos sowing, and it's going to be filled with fear and doubt and confusion. Or it is going to be an incredible opportunity to take advantage of you personally, you professionally, and then really aligning you with your dreams that are true just for you, because you're unique, your energy's unique, and your path forward is unique. So I'll go ahead and put that kimwoods.com/events. There's a special for that. You get those bonuses. You get a seat at the table, front row, so you can go through 3 hours of this beautiful strategic alignment of what your own themes are and milestones and goals and targets, what your business model is, but then ensuring that you're going in the right direction, you're attracting the right people, and you're relying on the right resources, because any misstep next year is going to be huge because the energies are huge. And so let's not do that. Let's set you up for success. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Happy remainder of 2024. Happy 2025. And happy soul tidings. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more ways to use the stars strategically to align with your soul purpose, reclaim your power, and increase your prosperity. Please rate and review your favorite episodes, and remember to check out my website at kimwoods.com for my latest forecasts, articles, and offerings. To find out your intuitive success signature, take my 12-question Do You Know, Like, and Trust Yourself quiz and find out how you're living your stars at yourstarmaptosuccess.com. I've so enjoyed our time together, as it's filled with the power of the stars plus strategy to clear the pathway to your success. Until next time, happy soul tidings.